Welcome back, my animation class, and here we go with another part of this amazing lesson on text and graphics. So I'm looking forward to, and I'm grading all of your individual projects as we go, but now we're back to our main tutorial. So today we're actually going to start creating a program. So if you haven't already, open up your programs, and we are actually going to be working with symbols today, or creating patterns, not symbols, I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and if you hit this scroll down menu here, and if we hit this, the very top one, which it says fit in window, boom, it automatically fits in window. That's something I didn't show you before, right? Some of you figured it out on your own. If you hit fit in window, it'll go there, or show in frame. It'll actually give you these, sliders if you want, if you're used to having sliders, and of course you can always center it here. I'm going to leave it in frame for a second, but actually it says 234%. I'm going to go to 230%, right? Because I want a little bit more on the sides, and for a particular reason. All right, so today we're going to be creating a pattern, all right? And just to show you what we're going to be creating, I'm going to go ahead and open the one I just did prior to this lesson. And again, this is for what we're going to do. We're going to be creating this dashed line up here, kind of like this pattern. We're going to use a pattern brush to do it, right? We're going to be playing with this a little bit, and there's going to be some adjusting, so just stay with me. It'll pick up, and you're gonna grab it just like you have the rest of the time. Actually, this lesson is quite easy because we've already gone through using brushes. So if you haven't noticed, we're going to be using different brushes for different occasions, and on the next part of this lesson, we're actually going to be using the fluid brush, right? And so you're going to have a whole class period just to experiment with that, because I feel it's an important tool, because it's the one specifically designed to work with tablets, and I'll get more into that in a bit. So let's go back, and we're going to head back to our we're looking here at our Mugs Coffee, and I'm going to go back to the section you're at, and we're going to start here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create a new border. Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to create a new layer, and we're going to name it border. So however you want to do it, whether you want to go to File or Insert, Timeline, Layer, or you just want to click the little plus layer over here, whichever way is easy. We're going to create a new layer. You should have done this. You should be getting used to this already by creating layers already. And we're going to call this border. All right, because we're going to make a border. All right, and now I'm going to go relatively quickly. So you should be familiar with where we need to go. And over here on the left-hand side, we're going to get our line tool. Okay, the line tool, just a straight line. And it should already be in your tool palette, right? And so remember, when we're working with certain things, we don't have any fill. All right, with brushes, we don't have a fill. And this line tool, we don't have a fill. So if you follow my cursor over here to the side, it only gives you the option for stroke, because there is no fill when we're working with these particular items. All right, so we've picked out our line tool, and now we're going to go to our stroke color. I picked one that I already had in my swatch, the dark brown, because I really want it to mix well, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and click that. If you have that, or you can pick any brown or any color you want on this particular area, right? And our opacity should be specifically, our opacity should be at 100. I'll change that. If yours is different, make sure it's at 100. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to click these three dots over here, right? Actually, you know what? On the stroke side, let's go stroke size. Let's go to 15. All right, so make sure you're at 15. So stroke, pick any color you want, kind of dark, so it'll contrast with the background there. And then we want to make sure that our opacity is at 100 and our stroke size is 15. All right, and then we're going to go over here to our three little dots. I'm clicking around just so I can get your attention in the tutorial, right? And we're going to click those three dots, and we're going to go to Brush Library. All right, we're going to Brush Library, and once we're there, we're going to go to Pattern Brushes. We're going to go to Dashed, okay, and we're going to go to the middle one called Dashed Square 1.3. Right, and you can double click that, and you should see it kind of appear in your brushes. So now we're going to close this up, and you can see here under style, it has that little pattern. pretty much a checkered board pattern, okay? And that's what we're going to be using to create our border. All right, so now that we have everything set, we are going to drag a horizontal line from one side all the way across the other side of our banner. Now here's a little trick, right? And this trick, actually, it's in a lot of different programs. So just like copy and paste, this is a cool thing just to keep in mind. If you hold down Shift and you click and you drag across, oh, I'm sorry, you have to click first. I'm near my line tool. If I click the line tool and I hold down Shift, when I click and then I drag across, it'll constrain. In other words, it won't let me kind of go off track. See how moving the cursor up and down, but the line stays straight, right? If I don't have my Shift held down, because I'm holding down Shift as I click and drag, right? Then see how it moves around? If you don't want it to move around like that, hold down Shift and it won't, see I'm moving it up and down, it won't let you move. It'll just keep it either vertical or horizontal. In this case, I want it horizontal, right? And I'm bringing it all the way across. And then go ahead and do that for the bottom. Just click on the bottom, and then don't worry if it's off a little bit. We're gonna move it in a second. All right. And now we're gonna do some adjusting. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we've done here, right? So we did 2 borders here, but it may not fit quite the way you want it to fit. There may be some things that are a little out of place here and there, and for example, here my M is being covered up. I have my aromas kind of falling into this border, and then my border is not entirely in, and then the bottom of my cup's touching this border. So there's some things I want to move around. So now this is kind of what we normally will do in any project. If you want to fine tune everything, is you're going to click your selection tool. With the selection tool, we can definitely move things around. Now notice I have a smiley face a lot when you're around your border. Be careful, because what the smiling face does is it bends things, remember? So you can really mess things up, right? Or make them cooler, however you want to look at them. So I'm going to hit undo. What you want to do is click, you want to just click the border until you see that blue line, and then you can actually move it. Once you see that blue line, you can move it down until you get the box just in the right area. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And again, I'm going to show you down here. So I'm just going to click it once until you see that blue line, and then I'll click and drag to basically adjust it. So now I've adjusted the top and the bottom to be in the right spot. All right. So now I'm going to do the same for a couple other things. For example, this cup. I'm going to click the cup, but it won't let me do anything because of course I'm locked out. I locked my cup so I wouldn't mess with it. I'm going to unlock my cup. Then I'm going to select it. I'm going to move it up just so that it sits outside of the border. So it's not underneath the border, right? And my aroma is kind of tall, but I think it's okay there. We're going to mess with the aroma in a second, but I wanted to fine tune that. Yeah, that'll be all right. And my M for the M. Now there's a couple of things I can do, right? I can actually, if I wanted this Mug's Coffee to be on top of everything, I can just get my chalk and put it above my border, and boom, there Mug's Coffee's on top of the border, which is cool because it actually gives it more of a different effect. It gives it a more 3D effect. Or conversely, if I wanted to keep that underneath, right, I can get the M and I can move the Mug's Coffee down, or actually I can double click the M. Oops. Click it once. Just click everything around it and move it down a little bit. And then again, of course, I'm in that that underneath mode, right? So when you're looking at here where I'm in that mode where we're actually working with objects, right? This is actually what's called an object mode. You know, I know I described it as the upside down, right? So I'm going to get out of that upside down. So now I've already fixed my Mug's Coffee. If I just want to adjust one little thing, so I'll double click this C as well, and I'll select that, and I'll shift click so I can select the whole thing, and I'll move that up a little bit outside of the border, bring it down a little bit. And then again, I'll get out of that mode. So there you go. So there, I've kept it the same. There's lots of ways that you can do it. I'll let you handle it how you feel like you want to handle that artistically. All right. So that's a cool lesson to have, a cool lesson to show. And of course, there's all of these little patterns, and you can use these cool little patterns in your pattern brush, and you can import patterns from Adobe. You can import patterns from basically from any of the online sources that actually support it. All right, but once we do that, I want to make sure that you understand that there's other things you can do as far as saving it. So much like swatches, where we can save a particular color swatch in our color swatches panel, we can actually save some of these pattern brushes too. So I'm going to click the line tool again, and let's go ahead and click that line tool. And let's go all the way over here to the properties panel again, and we're going to click the three little dots, and we're going to brush library. Okay, and then I'm sorry, let's go back. So we're going to three little dots and manage paintbrushes. I'm sorry. So now we have two different brushes, and it says, and what I'm going to do is these are the brushes that I've recently used. And this dash square, let's just say I've edited it and I wanted to save it under brushes, or I just want a shortcut, right? I'm going to go ahead and click that and save it to my brush library. It'll save to my brush library. And that's one of the cool ways to customize your workspace, especially if I'm making a lot of banners and I use this dash square 1.3 paintbrush over and over again to make borders. I'm going to want it somewhere where I can choose it fast. And this, now if I click on brush library, I'll have a new little area here called my brushes, and it'll have the dash square 1.3. It has mine twice because I've already done this before, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can delete that real quick. Okay. There. So yeah, so there I have my dash square 1.3, and now you have one brush in your saved brushes. Especially if you want to go back, if you're using one particular brush a lot, you can always put your brushes and save them in that little my brushes. So you don't have to go through all those sub menus and try to find them. You have all your favorites right there in them. All right. So hopefully, if you need to hit save, go ahead and hit save right now. All right. And now let's go ahead, and I'm going to let you guys explore that. And I'm going to pause it and probably let you have a large portion of the time to go ahead and experiment with these symbols, okay, or brush styles. Again, brush library. I'll definitely go into pattern brushes and just explore the different pattern brushes and see which ones you like, and just play with them for the borders. For today, I want you just to focus on that and just really getting comfortable with brushes. I feel like the brushes are one of the most underutilized tools in both Animate, Photoshop, and Illustrator. So or all three, not both. So all right, guys, I'm gonna hit pause right now, and I'll be right back to continue this lesson. All right, guys, welcome back. All right, so today I want to go ahead and give you guys a lot of time in class to actually work with the fluid brush. All right, and I should have distributed the Wacom tablets in class. Those of you at home, you can still do this on your mouse, right? And you might still, if you have a special mouse pad, or I'm sorry, trackpad that's pressure sensitive, you can still use a trackpad with this particular assignment. If not, just use the mouse. But let's go ahead and begin, because I'm going to want to let you guys have some time so you can play with this. All right, so today we're going to be using the fluid brush tool, right? And so I want you to understand that Animate and a lot of Adobe products, they support inputs from pressure sensitive tablets, such as the Wacom Graphics tablets, to control variable width, strokes, or the art or the patterns. There's a lot. It's very expressive, right? The actual pen tools are very expressive in this area, and the only way to really get good at it is, and it's just like everything else in Animate, is to practice it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to basically we're going to practice with it. I'm going to show you how to get to it, and then we're going to start practicing it. We're going to practice just one little thing with the aroma, and then we're going to I'll release you on your own. All right. So again, when you draw on regular paper, it's often easier to rotate your image, right? So you turn it one side to make long lines. So sometimes it's easier to do that. And so what Animate has done in our first area, just to show you what's going on here, it allows you to rotate the stage if you need a particular angle. Because when I'm drawing and I want a certain, what's easier to kind of draw a line, or I want to try and draw, I rather move the paper around. And you can do that with a stage. And you do that by clicking underneath the hand, we click the rotation tool. And when you click the rotation tool, you're going to see here, there is a crosshair. Okay. So this is called a crosshair. And depending on how you want, and this is also a rotation point. So wherever you click on that, it's going to rotate on that point. It's going to pivot, right? It's going to be a pivot. So if I rotate here, it's going to turn it all the way around like a propeller. From the center, it's going to turn around, right? And then if I wanted to angle that, I can do that. You can always hit the center stage to go back to where you want to. But if I wanted to get in the corner, right, and I move it here, you see how it changes? Okay. And again, I'll hit the center page to get the center stage to get me back where I needed to. So you can actually play with this a lot, especially when you're using the brush tool today, and you want to kind of get different angles. You can do that. Again, you can move things around and you can rotate and get back to here. So the rotate tool is a simple tool. It's not super complicated, and you can always reset by clicking the center stage. It's fine, but it's really helpful if you're used to doing that on paper, right? So let's continue this. Okay, we're going to be using the fluid brush tool, right? And so what we're going to do right now, you can delete your aroma layer or unlock your aroma layer and delete it. If you don't want to delete it, then what you need to do is you need to poke the eyes out like that and then lock it. So you can have that aroma layer underneath. And I'm going to choose a new layer, and I'm going to go ahead and call that fluid. Oops, I didn't do it. Fluid aroma. Fluid underscore aroma. Remember, it'll give us that arrow. So I know it's the fluid brush layer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lock my border because I don't want to mess with that. And make sure you hit save, right? As soon as you, so we got a fluid aroma. And I want the fluid aroma to be at the top. So I'm going to take that, bring that all the way to the top, right? And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go pick the fluid brush. So I'll click the fluid brush tool in your tools. All right. And what we're going to do up here, we have a set of different icons. If you hover over them carefully, I'm over here on the tool panel, properties panel, I'm sorry. We're pretty much mostly where it says using pressure. Make sure that using pressure is clicked on. And then the second one right next to it, where it says change the brush size based on pointer velocity. And that one's clicked as well. All right. So you want that on as well when you're working with your brushes, right? And then we're going to go ahead and in the properties channel, I want you to change this alpha to 50%. Okay. All right. And I want you to pick the kind of the aroma color that we had. I'm going to go ahead and pick the 654321 fill that we had, right? And then we'll go ahead and mess with some of these sizes over here. All right. So for example, this is the time where you're going to play with it. So let me give you the aroma that I'm going to release you guys to play with this tool. So this is the fluid brush. This is where you get the maximum amount of creativity with your pen, with Wacom tablets. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and open this up probably to about 21 or so. Again, these are all just playing around. You'll be the judge of this. I'll put this about 81. Curve smoothing, 44. Curve smoothing, 44. Roundness, I'll leave it at 100. The angle, I'll go down to about 53 or so, or 50. Again, I'm just playing around with this. Taper 70. Let me go 74. Velocity, I'll leave it at velocity. I'll bring it up a little bit to maybe 27 or 24. And the pressure, I'll leave it at like minus 15 or so. All right. So oh, nice. So if I want to bring your attention to this taper, because this taper is pretty cool. If I have the taper at 0, then it's pretty much one of these. The taper is talking about the ends, where you start and where you stop, right? So if I bring up the taper, I'm going to click that out. If I bring up the taper, or I hit it and I bring up the taper to, like, just say 73, see, the end is tapered and both ends are tapered. In other words, they start thin and then they actually achieve the full size, which at this point is 21. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out. And now that I got my cool taper down, I'm gonna go ahead and make my aromas. They're kind of thin, so I might want to fatten up my size. There we go. That looks cool. That one is outside of what I wanted. And so these are probably easier to do than the first aromas, because again, we have the brush tool working with us. So now I'm going ahead and let you guys play with it. I would prefer that you guys start a new project and maybe play with it a little bit. If you want to stay here and play with it on this particular place, just make sure everything is locked. I'm going to lock my aroma so that you're not, and create a new layer. And that way you're not messing up any of your project in this tutorial. So I'm going to give you guys the rest of the class. Again, it's really important for me. Oh, I'm sorry. It's really important for you to really understand how this brush works with the tablets. So you can consider this a tablet training day, so to speak. Those of you at home, see what you can do with the mouse. All right. So this is basically a fluid tool practice day. All right. And after this, I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a great day.